like how people are a little upset with him because they're not. He's not going to allow Sting to go into the probably possibly induct Lex Luger. Smart move, Tony. One of very few that you've done. Smart move. Stick it to whoever you got to stick it to. It's your goddamn business.
Do you think he should?
No, he should not.
I understand
that. I
don't see where it's gonna it would help or where it's gonna help or hurt. You know what I mean? Like it's Sting's retired. He's not. If I don't know.
I'll tell you. I'll give you the answer, George. If Tony Khan is a man of his word, remember, I didn't say if Tony Khan is a man of his word, and he said, "I'm not taking this fucking bullshit anymore. I'm not going to allow these things to happen where Billy Gunn gets on there and gets shitted on. I'm not going to allow these things to happen. The forbidden door is closed from that point on." I would respect Tony Khan more if WrestleMania weekend came and went and Sting was not involved. That's just me, because. Why would you, George, allow Sting? Will it increase your revenue? Will it increase your visibility? Will they ask you to reference All Elite Wrestling? Will they ask you to, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't get any of those concessions, I'm not doing it.
I'm not going to lose anything though.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you are. I don't think they should.
Yeah,
because I think DDP is just as good.
He's better than Sting as far as an inductee. Yeah.
I know
there's an easier way
to have Sting, but
there's an easier way for him to do it than just saying no and getting the backlash. I would make a demand of something that WWE's not going to do and say, "Oh well, they didn't do it."
They probably did that. We probably won't hear about it for another. Probably won't hear about it for another 6 weeks or 7 weeks, but I'm sure something like that happened.
It would make sense.
Yeah, I'd rather see DDP induct them anyway. I watched that interview he did with Bischoff, and it was pretty good. I enjoyed them two guys together. So
yeah, and I feel like DDP is more involved with Lex now. Like, it's important to Lex to have Sting do it in the sense of like Sting brought him in and they were partners and like his career. But DDP is going to help him learn how to walk again. So I feel like DDP wins. There's a little difference to that to me.
And a lot of people were upset because everybody's just like, well, Lex Luger talked to Sting's wife about, his affairs. My point is like Lex helped Sting walk away from some marriages. So there it is. It's all equal, DDP helped Lex Luger walk. Lex Luger helped Sting walk away.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I could see both sides of it. Here's the thing: if it was going to negatively impact AEW, I would definitely be more. But there's nothing that's going to. They're negatively impacting themselves. It's one of those things that all might because of how there is so much support for Lex, especially with seeing him walk against stuff, that it might build some goodwill for Tony. But I don't even think that matters. He clearly burns through that, people in California burn through weed. So I mean, just it is what it is.
So yeah, what do you guys? I have a question for both of you.
Yes.
What do you guys think of this WrestleMania build? Since we're all supposed E-drones, whatever the fuck that is.
That's funny. We talked about it in one of the. We did 2 episodes this weekend, and one of them we talked about how really what it is to me. It's clearly top heavy. I feel like that's why the complaints were because at the top, the main events. I mean, you've got. With Cody and Cena, the Punk, Rollins, and Roman, and with Heyman, you've got Jay and Gunther, and even the women's the title matches are all set, so it's very top heavy. The rest of it, what the hell's going on? I feel like the fix for this, and it's gonna be weird to say it, but the fix for what the problems is the Andre the Giant Battle Royal being at Mania again. Even if you do it as they're trying to get people to be on Mania, in some of those where they're pigeonholing where it's probably going to be, a triple threat for the US title and a 6-way for the Intercontinental title.
Right.
They're putting too many people in those matches because they don't have somewhere else to put them. There's a big roster. Everybody deserves to be on Mania, but not everybody can. This is the one show where I feel like they're being like Tony Khan, where they're like, everybody gets on the pay-per-view. I don't care.
My problem was the timing of this European tour. I don't think they're building it. I don't like the European tour being billed previous to WrestleMania. I think they're taking away from, like Jake said, they're top heavy and they're not concentrating on the bottom because they're giving the European people the top people, which they should.
Right. That's
why they always did it after Mania.
Yeah,
so that was my take on it.
And what I'm very curious to see is what they do next year, because WrestleMania is still going to be in the same time frame because they moved it to later in April because when they were competing with the Final Four and some other things it was opening weekend for baseball, they kind of wanted the weekend to themselves since they do 17 events in the city. So it'll be interesting next year if they do a European tour leading up to Mania, or if they wait and do it afterwards.
Especially what do you think? What do you think, Awful, about the WrestleMania build? Since you've asked us.
Ooh, whelmed.
I like that.
It's not that good. But see, I'm an old man, so I've lived through a lot of these not great build WrestleManias, and then I've also, hey, congratulations. Hopefully I'll even get to 50 at some point.
That's how I feel. I'm in my 40s. I'm with you.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I've seen these kind of builds come and go. I mean, my goodness, 11 WrestleMania 11. I mean, goddamn.
I was thinking WrestleMania 20, or not WrestleMania 20, WrestleMania 2000, where the only singles match was the Cat versus Terry.
Right. Even the main event was a 4-way. Like, come on, like, So, like, as far as like the main events, Gunther versus Jey Uso, man. I'm rocking with my co-host Marv on this one. Like, this is a match that should not have been. I understand it. I get it, guys. I get it. He makes money. He's a merch killer. If that's the case, you know what would be more interesting than that? I'd rather see Jey Uso versus Cody Rhodes. Okay? Because now we've got somebody who's a cartoonish kind of character. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Right.
In both Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes. In Gunther, you get none of that. And the contrast between Gunther's wrestling style and Jay's wrestling style is just absolutely bonkers. We've seen it 3 times before. They just don't gel together. How is this going to be the main event on a fucking WrestleMania? It's crazy. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's going to lead off one of the 2 nights. I think it's going to lead off the first night, because then you have the fans at full energy to do the entrance. Because the entrance is a big part of it. I'll tell you that.
Big part's the only part.
It's not the only part. I mean, the match. Okay, I get you. I mean, it's most of the part. I'll say he's. I don't know. See, I was at the Max Out of the Year when they had Jay, Jimmy, and Sammy come out together and introduced them as the Usos, and I was so hyped up and jacked by that. Like, I am much more on the Yeet train than I expected to be as a 42-year-old. But here we are, because it's fun. The thing that I noticed, not only was it some merchandise sold, like when I walked in the entrance and got to my seat, every kid, not even kid, I would say like every teenage, like from 17 down, had at least some sort of J merch, and most of the kids that were 10 and under had the shirt, the glass hat, like a sign. So this
is the new, Jey Uso is the new age warrior, ultimate warrior, where it's just like he's so like back in the day. Yeah, it's like, when I was younger, I didn't really care for the Ultimate, but I didn't hate the Ultimate Warrior. Whereas I noticed like people who were older than me hated the fucking Ultimate Warrior. And now I'm at the point where it's just like, I can understand the Jey Uso hate. He is not for guys like us. Plain and basic. We shouldn't even be wasting our efforts being angry with this guy. Man, it's trying to make
living. I don't see so much the hate being. I can see why people don't like him. The downright hatred for the guy. Because one of the reasons I like him is when you see interviews with him, like he's one of those guys like you would like to go have a beer with him. You know what I mean? Like he's the guy. He's got that appeal.
And then he'll mumble through the entire conversation. Because he seems like he's very introverted, and that kind of stuff is coming through on television. In fact, a couple weeks ago, I remember he was like doing some sort of promo, and I was just like, is this guy like truly nervous to be out there, or is he like playing the role? And it reminded me of like, don't get offended with me, people, but like he kind of reminded me of like some shut-in autistic kid like who had just seen the outside in like 2 years, and it's just like I don't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So
yeah. Hey, if they didn't get offended, you comparing him to Warrior, I feel like we're okay. Not so much Warrior when he was making his entrances, but we all know what happened.
Right.
No, I thought the same thing about it with Warrior, where the entrance is big. He's got the shine, like the bright colors. Like clearly, it's more for a youthful generation, and they aren't the best in the ring, but you can. So I mean, I get it. I feel like. I also feel like it'll lead off one of the 2 nights. They'll have that big moment. They'll have like Yeetamania, but then they'll go through the rest of the show, and if it is a bad match, it'll kind of get shuffled under the rug with it. It won't be as people won't remember because there's going to be so much on both cards.
Yeah.
Awful. What'd you think about Charlotte Flair stepping all over Tiffany there, making Tiffany look bad?
Again, it's one of those things where the veteran knows exactly what they're doing.
Yes.
And it's so passive aggressive how they do it. Like it's amazing how anybody who's going into the wrestling business isn't hip to this type of stuff because it's the same thing as real life. And I felt bad for Tiffany, but I mean, Charlotte's going to do as Charlotte's going to do. I don't see
clear.
Charlotte. Yeah, I don't see Charlotte as anything special to me. Like, again, we're old guys. We've seen a lot of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Charlotte doesn't really like pop out to me. You know, she's tall, and I guarantee you within the next 2 years, we're going to see somebody come out of NXT doing twice as good as her, and just because, easily. And it's just like, okay, that's what I'm waiting for. Like, Charlotte can do a moonsault. Yay. You know what I mean? But other than that, it's just like, okay, let me ask you, gentlemen, what match would you want to rewatch of Charlotte?
There's one.
I could think of 3 matches of Asuka that I would watch over any match that Charlotte's got.
Yeah, the Charlotte and Rhea match from not last year, obviously. Charlotte and Rhea at 39 when Rhea won. Like, that was the one. That did like the top 5 best women's matches I've ever seen. Like, that one.
Right.
Now you want me to name you some other ones? Oh shit, I'm gonna have some trouble.
Exactly. The only thing that could probably point to is the one, I think you said it, the cage match with Sasha, and that wasn't even all that rewatchable. But you know what I could watch over and over and over again? Bayley versus Sasha in Brooklyn. I could watch Asuka versus almost anybody who was facing her in NXT. Her shit was phenomenal back then. I mean, hell, I'll even watch a Trish Stratus, Mickie James match from WrestleMania. I mean, that match was awesome too.
Or the
Charlotte. Sorry.
I think D had her hand up a while. So D, if you want to ask a question.
Oh yeah, there's been some hands up, but we've been going.
Turn your mic on, D,
and people can interject when they want to as well with us. We're very open here.
Be polite.
Yes, that's it. We're all being cool. That's our move.
D, go ahead.
Hey guys, how are you guys doing?
Great, good to hear from you, D.
You guys had a good conversation. I thought, hey Jake, I'm here. I said, hey, I thought you guys gonna show out today. I was like, okay, I'm going to show out today. So, do you guys think that Jey Uso will ever turn heel?
I mean,
do you think that would be good?
I think eventually, yes, because there's the money in anybody who's big for turning heel. But
yeah,
I mean, it's also too like with Cody, where people want him to turn heel. Like, it'll work eventually. It's got. What I think now is that it won't ever happen just to happen. I think that's a good thing. I feel like there's now where you've got the writing team behind it with Triple H and everybody in there. Like, they know. They make things better. Yeah. You know, it's not just something where, because Vince would do that, where he's like, shit, we're out of something. Or with somebody, if something doesn't work out, just, you're a comedy character now. Stay over there for the rest of your career.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know what you guys think, but that's my first thought.
Do you want it to do you think it would damage it or his like career? Because that was some people try to say that, it's going to damage Cody's career if he turned heel or this and that.
No, it wouldn't damage his career.
Yeah,
you do the same. You do the same type of hesitant heel of Jey Uso that you did in 2019 or 2020 as you would do now. You know what I mean? Like, he'd have to be like forced in the position of heeldom, or if you want to turn Jimmy a face, because I think he's actually the better worker. If you want to turn Jimmy the face and have him, who's got the chirp? Who has got the chirp? I'm going to send you some batteries, young lady. Fix that chirp. But anyway, listen, just make sure that
just mute yourself. Just make talking, y'all.
just make sure Jey Uso does the hesitant heel type thing. Kind of like what Dominic Mysterio's going through right now. Like, he's a heel, but he's just like, I feel like I'm being used somehow, so.
Yeah, no, as long as it makes sense within the story, and it's one of the other things too, where where it's believable from the heel's end. Like, even if the heel's being like Drew McIntyre's a prime example. Like, you can see what he's saying. I mean, a lot of what he's saying, he comes off as an asshole for it. That's why he's a heel. But there's a reason behind it. There's believability. He can say it with conviction. That's as opposed to just reading some random line and that someone else wrote for you.
Right.
So if anybody's got any questions for Awful, now's a good time.
By all means, speak up, y'all. We're good.
Oh God.
We watch. People here are very polite, and we're actually.
And I've got no problem. Hey, we can mute, and George and I both can mute him and boot him if we need to. So everybody. We're 3 or 4 weeks into these, and everybody's been generally cool and nice and fun. And that's
cool.
Stick to. Yeah, that's what we're going for. We're not trying to. You feel like most of the spaces you hear is people yelling over each other, insulting each other. It goes to immediate slurs, and you hear like the screaming where you can't even hear the person's voice because they're like eating their microphone. Like, we don't want any of that shit. We're all too old for that. So we're trying to create a little bit of a different idea. That's the whole point of the channel, which I've seen a few subscriptions come into the YouTube channel today while we're watching. So thanks, y'all. By all means, please subscribe so to keep going.
Well, guys, I'm from Minnesota, don't you know? So we're pretty polite down here, Anyway, I just had a point on the Tiffany segment a few weeks ago. I hated it. I thought Tiffany got fucking railroaded, and I just can't fucking stand Charlotte.
The nature of the beast, my man. The nature of the beast. This is. You'd really hate the stories of the 80s.
I still think Tiffany's going to go over, which is why Charlotte's doing a lot of what she's doing. Like, she knows she's putting Tiffany over.
Yep.
So as long as it ends with that, it's okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm just also like, I get like Cena bullshit from Charlotte whenever she comes back. It's like, okay, you don't need to give her the title just because she comes back. Like, we do need to look towards the future, guys. But in general, I would say, like, the overall build has been pretty lackluster in the middle of the card. Right. Maybe not exactly at the top.
It's top heavy for sure.
Earlier. Yeah. But then again, like, there's so much flexibility in the mid card right now. It's like, you could take the belt off of Braun and he'd be fine. You could take the belt off of LA Knight and he would be fine. Like, the reality is, like, you have a little bit more fluidity with the mid card titles, at least on the men's side. I mean, I've tried as hard as I can to remain, at least middle of the road in terms of things. Like, I'm not going too hard on things. I'm not, ranting and raving about shit on X like so many people are.
Hey,
about like Cena and Cody, except for the Tiffany and Charlotte thing.
Yeah, really.
Which I have done.
Yeah, I think, and like I said, I feel like a lot of it is that they're trying to get everybody involved somehow, like, even if they're not, like, even kind of the stuff they're doing with Chelsea Green and like Zelina Vega, if that ends up being the Mania match or whoever she is, like, other women will be involved with that storyline because Triple H is trying to get everybody somewhat involved on the Mania build and the Mania card because it is.
Yeah,
I mean, it's their big moment.
It's like he's booking WrestleMania like they do in boxing, very top heavy. Remember, this is a Las Vegas crowd, so it's going to be the biggest match that's going to bring them in. They know Roman, they know CM Punk, they know Cody Rhodes, they know the big names. They know John Cena. We forget about John Cena's in the goddamn main event
too, so it's starting early there. You're right. I didn't even think.
Yeah,
the Vegas crowd I thought about, but I didn't think about the timing because I mean the main event's going to happen at what, like 8, 9 o'clock local time.
Right.
That's why they're having all those after shows and shit. You're absolutely right. Like, book it the big stuff here at the end. Like, we want.
Because nobody,
the big crowd shots. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and you obviously don't want to have empty seats in your opening matchup, but that might be a thing that could happen with the Vegas crowd. I mean, obviously, it's just like what you said, George, when they're in Europe now, and I give all credit to MJ from NJ on this particular point.
Always.
They cannibalize the European market. So are the people from Europe going to come across the pond and spend that kind of money on a WrestleMania? So they're really.
That sounds familiar, George.
Yeah. Hey, you probably said
we
it.
Talked about that in our last episode. Yeah, because that was one of the things of where, is it something where if you had a budget to see wrestling live and you could literally cut it in half, or even more, by flights and hotels and everything else. Like, I mean, like if you lived in like one of the countries they didn't go, like, let's say you live in Prague, shit, I can go to Bologna or Barcelona, which I can get through from a train as opposed to flying 16 hours to Las Vegas, getting a hotel. And it makes it's perfect sense. Now, granted, with Vegas, they can easily do like a lot of corporate kind of stuff. And also with Vegas, they can easily get, at least for the bottom section, seat fillers to for people. But that's it's going to be interesting how they do it. The pricing is out of control, and
that's why I think that they went to Europe, because they knew a lot of the European fans weren't going to be coming over this year.
Yeah, they did price it out with the call. Yeah,
so it was just like, let's just go over there, please them, wank them off, and then come back. Yeah. So
and they're going back for the Clash in Paris. That's where it is this time, and it feels like that's what they're doing. I mean, it's the third or fourth one they've done of those annually, so that's definitely something that's on the card, which makes sense. I mean, it's a great way to get good shots, good views, and big crowds in those major European cities.
Right.
SmackDown question quick. What do you think the favor is because it apparently isn't the one entirely that CM Punk wanted.
That's a good question. What do you guys think? I've got a couple ideas, but
championship run.
Yeah, it's got to
If
be
ever Roman,
related, right?
if ever Roman wins the championship of either brand, I want first dibs.
Clearly, the favor is a Starbucks gift card.
That could be true.
Damn it, Corey.
Damn it.
And I said it on our most recent episode of AltJake Takes On, but the only thing that would make sense for Mania, and it doesn't make sense, but if they wanted to hold it into this, is that Heyman is in Punk's corner and not Roman's corner for their main event match. But that'd be stupid. I think it has to be title related. It has to be, especially at this point.
Heyman is involved in some way, though.
For sure.
Yeah, because he's given the favor. Of course he is.
Heyman hammed it up so much that I have a feeling that Heyman's going to be hopping sides to join Punk.
Yeah, somebody in the IWC actually has a video close-up of Paul Heyman saying the word "don't do it" when Roman Reigns, during the contract signing, asked CM Punk to acknowledge him. And Paul Heyman was right behind Roman Reigns, and he was just like, "Don't do it." And that's it's that kind of geekiness that I used to like in professional wrestling.
That is so spoiling. People who want to be surprised if he turns.
Right.
If he turns against Roman, we want to be shocked. I do not want anybody to think the obvious part.
Well, here's the thing. The WWE has a beautiful way of making you forget about that stuff in about 3-4 weeks.
It's the little things that matter too.
Yeah.
Those little moments and little things and like the stuff in the background. Chris, I see your hands up. What's up, Chris? How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. So when I saw that, the first thing I thought of is it's like when Awful would probably look at one of his friends, go, "Don't say the smart-ass thing. I know you want to say that smart-ass thing. Don't do it. You're gonna get slapped." Like that's what Heyman's looking at Punk. He's like, "Oh, please don't poke the bear."
Gotcha. Okay.
We're almost ending, and it adds to, and he says that's not the favor. So Heyman knows he's sort of trapped in it. Oh shit. Punk's it's gonna keep poking Roman Reigns, and Roman eventually is gonna turn on me.
He's the best friend that has to be best friends with both guys and doesn't want to be best friends with both guys, but has to play the role anyway.
Yeah, and both guys hate each other.